Today we're talking about the death of longtime U.S. Senator John McCain, who passed away last week following a year-long battle with cancer. This 30-plus year veteran politician has a long and storied career in American politics, which was also preceded by a significant stint in the U.S. Navy, fighting for the United States in the Vietnam War, which even saw him being captured and imprisoned by the communists for almost 6 years, from 1967 to 1973. He, of course, was eventually freed, and ended up turning his life into a pretty significant political career. McCain even ran for president twice. First in the year 2000, in which he didn't get past the primaries, but later, in 2008, McCain was the official Republican nominee for president. But, of course, McCain ended up losing that election to Barack Obama, and many Republicans would say it was losing that election that caused McCain to become the detested warmonger he was up until his recent death a few days ago. You see, while I'm trying to remain civil here and respectful for the dead, many other people are not so quick to give John McCain a pass now. Besides a few conservative endorsements, many still have not forgiven McCain for being a never-Trumper this past few years. For example, that and of course his many other gross actions in the Senate, which we'll get to. But to put it briefly, McCain was not a very peaceful negotiations type guy. To put it politely, McCain was a warmonger who believed in fighting, battling, and boots on the ground tactics. Tactics which resulted in a number of countries suffering, like Libya, which broke down completely, for example. But first, before we get to more of his troubled past, let's talk about the surprising stance many Democrats are taking on the guy now. Funny enough, it's Democrats who are mostly giving McCain high praises following his death. McCain even banned Trump from attending his future funeral while he was still alive. Both were called racists, Nazis, and white supremacists. But suddenly, he's this big hero. Here's an example, a tweet from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez saying, "John McCain's legacy represents an unparalleled example of human decency in American service. As an intern, I learned a lot about the power of humanity in government through his deep friendship. He meant so much to so many. My prayers are with his family." And Cortez's tweet on McCain is not lame because she expressed condolences, of course. That's a normal reaction to death, even if you disagree with someone. No, it was because she repeated the same tired, mythology-reinforcing cliches that everyone in the political arena has been repeating constantly lately. And Cortez is supposed to have a unique mandate not to do that kind of stuff. The Huffington Post also had an interesting change of heart about the late John McCain. Back in 2008, they slammed him as mentally unfit to be president. Then in 2012, HuffPo said the senator was a racist woman hater, saying he was making a fool of himself regularly back then. But now that McCain has passed, all of a sudden John McCain is a bipartisan American hero. And I don't know about you, but I smell some bullshit right here. After you die, you're a saint and a flawless American hero who didn't do nothing. Even George Soros tweeted support for John McCain following his death too, saying, "Remembering John McCain, a brave warrior for human rights who stood up against repression and torture. I hate to be that guy and have to say this, but John McCain did do some things wrong in his life. And while I'll try and be as respectful as possible, I also just can't ignore this stuff and not share the whole story with you guys." For example, many veterans are not a fan of McCain after finding out he sang like a canary while captured in the Vietnam War. A tape of his recorded confession actually came out earlier this month, funny enough. Basically, John caved in and gave his captors everything they wanted to hear. And according to military code, captures are just to say their name, rank, and home location. But John McCain went well past that, confessing to war crimes even, saying he wronged the communists and giving away locations and much more. Now, I understand this was a terrible, stressful situation for him, and I'm not implying I would do better in a hostage situation, but this is against military regulations, and it's something many veterans would consider highly cowardly. Others might even say this was treasonous behavior, since McCain's confessions likely led to many other punishments of others, and an unknown number of deaths, which were probably many. All the while, McCain was treated better for talking. I mean, there's a reason he survived almost 6 years in captivity. It's because he was getting milked for all the information he had. McCain also broke military protocol and talked to the enemy. Then now we're getting a much different picture of his service history. Let's backtrack a little bit now and talk more about McCain's warmongery, or just his proclivity to starting military conflicts. Here's a graphic and picture that portrays things pretty well, showing the around 13 different countries McCain has called for military intervention against. Most notably would probably be Libya, which fell apart after Gaddafi was taken down, and after the Benghazi bullshit. Syria and Iraq were also on the top of McCain's shit list, and Afghanistan, all of which saw major billion-dollar wars fought there over recent years, under the advice and consent of the Senate, which was often being spearheaded by McCain himself. Now, McCain has even more blood on his hands than people think. First, it was the Americans he betrayed and gave away locations to in Vietnam. Put that all together, and John McCain is quite possibly responsible for thousands of deaths, many of which were patriotic Americans too. Next, let's go back to McCain's ties with Russia and supporting their oligarchs in the past. You see, much of the same Russia collusion allegations that are being levied against Trump right now, well, they were also brought up against McCain in the past too. McCain actually met twice with R.I.P, a Russian businessman and Putin ally whose visa was blocked by the United States amidst intelligence community concerns about his ties to Moscow. The meetings were arranged by Manafort and his lobbying firm partner Rick Davis, who later would become McCain's campaign manager, according to interviews and documents. Deripaska is a metals magnate and president of the United Company Rusal, and he's also considered to be one of the richest men in the world with an estimated worth of $5.1 billion, according to Forbes. And well, it looks like John McCain met with him and supported him. In the end, sure, John McCain wasn't all bad. He did serve his country for many years, doing what he claimed to think was the right thing to do. But there's also an obvious bad side to this man too, that I think people deserve to know about.